The hardest part about being a business owner is no one tells you what to do day in and day out, which means it's really easy to get distracted. And the more success you experience, the juicier those distractions are going to be. So in order to stay focused on our goals, we need a process to confidently make decisions. And I'm going to break that down in today's episode. We're going to talk about the 5 data points that help me make decisions. Because here's the deal. 9 times out of 10, when I'm coaching my people, when I'm having conversations with potential clients, or I'm in my networking groups, I'm leading a masterclass, whatever the platform, if we're talking shop, if we're talking business, a lot of the time people struggle with making decisions. So I want to help you today. And I think a lot of what can be the most impactful way to make better decisions and quicker decisions is having the data to back it up. So let's dive on in. I have 5 points for you. Grab that pen and paper. Let's get to work. Number 1, being realistic, being radically honest about the season that you are in. And here's a question I ask myself. If I'm in decision-making mode or needing to make decisions, here's what I ask myself. Are my needs met? Meaning, am I able to pay myself what I need, and am I able to cover my business expenses? I cannot tell you whether it's a brand new startup or a multi-million-dollar business, the amount of people who don't have a simple budget or awareness around how much they need to make personally. You know, there's this whole like girl math thing. I think there's also a business math thing, which is we need to realistically understand how much we as humans need to make from our business. And then it's a simple equation of, can my business afford to pay me as much as I'm needed? And then the next layer of that, if it is able to, awesome, keep doing what you're doing. If it's not, where can I cut some costs or make some adjustments? Or where can I focus on more sales generating activities to get my business to a place where my needs are met? Because the decisions you make from a baseline of just paying the bills, making sure you're getting paid enough, making sure your personal financial goals are moving forward, if that's the reality of the season we're in, we're going to make different decisions as entrepreneurs than we would otherwise. And that's why that's point number 1. So if yes, your needs are met, you have that personal budget, you also have a business budget or an awareness around how much it really costs to run your business day in and day out. If your needs are met personally and in the business, guess what? Congratulations. It's time to grow or streamline your business. The decisions you make should be with that in mind. How do I grow? Grow meaning grow in revenue, grow my team, grow my offering. Grow can mean a lot of different things. And then how do I streamline? How do I make my processes better, more buttoned up, more clear, more efficient? Those are the 2 things you should be thinking of if your needs are met and you're making decisions. If your needs are not met, here's what I want you to think about. This is a great time to put in the reps and recognize that some of the things that you should be doing should not be new activities, should not be new collaborations, but should be more of the same. So if you're in a situation, you're listening today and your needs are not met, if we're going to be radically honest with ourselves, maybe revenue is really roller coastery. I don't think that's a word, but we're going to make it one. If it's really up and down, if we're not clear on how much it costs to actually operate our business, then we're going to make different choices. And some of those choices might be to hyper focus on what is currently working and doing more of it. I've shared this before, but I had this aha in my coaching business. It was actually last fall, and if you're listening in real time, there's this misconception about scalability. You want to build a business that is scalable, that you can grow with. And I had this aha, I had this moment of, what if I had one one-on-one client just pay me $1 million? Granted, that may sound and feel like having an employer, but just it was a great thought exercise of, why am I working so hard to figure out the next thing I need to create and sell? What if I just keep doing the same thing but better, charging more, getting a higher level clientele, charging more, making it better, higher level clientele, and I'm growing with my people? That really could be my business model of just the one offer and making it better. And that could grow and grow and grow. It really could. And so I think when you're in this decision-making mode and you're stuck and the needs are not met, things are up and down. Some months you're paying yourself, some months you're not. Some months you're tapping into savings. Some months you're putting things on credit cards. If that's the reality of where you're at, I want you to focus on what brings in money and what has worked in the past and how do I keep doing the same. So all your decisions should therefore be around, how do I do the same? How do I do more of the same? How do I make it better but the same? Okay. Point number 2, filter number 2, data point number 2 is this. Where do my best clients come from? And this was an exercise one of my previous coaches had me do that was really powerful. Write down every single person who has paid you money for the thing. Write down how much they paid you. Write down, are they a great client, a dream client? Why? Is it their personality? Is it the phase of business they're in? Is it the type of business they're in? Is it just like a clear vibe thing? Is it because they actually executed on goals? What was it about that person that made them an ideal client? And then the important thing, where did they come from? How did they find you? And what I found in this exercise, prior to this, I was focusing so much on social media. Raise your hand if you can relate. I think a lot of us fall into that trap. They think social media is going to be this magic solution to our business and our marketing plan. Oftentimes, it helps. It's part of the equation. But in real time, as I'm recording this, Instagram shut down yesterday and people were panicking. And I didn't even know until one of my clients asked me about it. But I had no clue, and it's because I am not building my business on the foundation of one platform. Okay, sure, it helps connect me with people. Sure, I have signed a couple clients specifically because of my Instagram, directly because of that. However, I am not assuming that that is going to be the only place that I get clients from. And when I did this exercise of writing out everyone that I've worked with, who's paid me what did I like about working with them, what didn't I like about working with them, my top 5 clients. Top 5 were paid the most, made the most progress towards their goals, dream client, easy to work with, respectful, responsible, took action. Those people, all of them were connected in person. And so I switched my mindset after this exercise, which was almost a year ago at this point, a little past a year ago. And instead of putting so much energy and thought and process into Instagram to get leads, I have switched my mindset to leads happen in person. Instagram is a great place to connect, serve. And if I help people, if you're listening to this and you found this via Instagram, awesome, I've done my job. But I started to shift my energy, my focus, and my selling side of what I do to in person. And I can tell you, me a year and a couple months later, it has definitely paid off. But I would not have known that had I not paused and audited, where did my best clients come from? And if I'm aware of where my best clients come from, then I can make decisions to double, triple, quadruple down on what is currently working. There was times where I was focusing on Pinterest, TikTok to get clients for today and today's offer. What I offer is tens of thousands of dollars and a small handful of people that I work with directly, plus a retreat that's coming up in about 5 minutes. And there's just not a lot of offers currently where I'm at. And I am very confident in that choice. And I love where I'm at. I love how I work with people. But going on Pinterest and trying to cycle somebody into this bigger offer, that's a lot of groundwork I'm having to do, investment time for the offer I have today. Now, if I'm thinking of building something for future and just getting in front of more people, that might make sense. But when I'm making decisions, if house is not in order, if I'm not able to meet my basic needs, I'm going to make different decisions. And number 2, if my best clients aren't coming from Pinterest and I'm in a season of I still need to create some consistency and stability in my business, I'm not touching Pinterest despite the benefits. The reality of what I need to focus on right now becomes crystal clear, and it's that in-person stuff. Number 3 is this. How many discovery calls am I booking and how many am I closing? That's pretty simple. That's the real talk. And that's something that I didn't track until kind of recently. For my business, I know if I hop on a call with somebody, I'm typically able to funnel them into some sort of offer that I have, or bare minimum, it's a great opportunity for me to practice selling. Okay? So it's important for me to measure how many calls I'm doing. And I only have so much capacity of how many I can do. So I want to make sure I'm not wasting my time or the potential client's time. I want to make sure they're vetted and they're in a place where I can truly help them at my best. And I need to be radically honest, here we say it again, about where I'm at in my abilities. So the closing piece is important, because if I'm doing all of these discovery calls and it's taking me 1, 2, 3 calls to close somebody, guess what? I, Kelsey, get to go work on my sales ability because that's an opportunity. And this is really interesting. This is actually something I was coaching one of my clients through the other day. There's a difference between getting people to get on a discovery call and then closing them versus getting people to even get on the call in the first place, right? If we think of cold leads, people who don't know we exist yet, people who are not connected to us yet, the way we speak to those people and attract those people is going to look a little different as we get to know them, as we introduce them into our world, as we start to build a relationship with them, show our authority and our know-how, what we know in the space that we're in, show that the social proof, we actually work with clients in this way, they pay me, here's the results I got them. That journey looks different if someone's brand new to your world versus not. Excuse me. So point number 3, data point number 3, that helps me as a CEO make good decisions. How many discovery calls did I book and how many did I close? And if I'm not booking enough, that's a leads problem. And if I'm not closing enough, that's a sales problem. Easy. Now I know what to improve on in future. But if I'm not tracking that, I don't know what I don't know. And if I'm not having any discovery calls, I'm going to see the ramifications of that 2, 3, 4 months down the road when my contracts and current clients finish. And I'm going to be like, where'd everyone go? It's because I was not putting in the work. It's something I should continually be doing as a business coach. Anyone in the service industry would agree. Even if you're busy today, that's a great time to continue to get in front of new people. Point number 4, data point 4 that helps me make great decisions as a CEO. How am I spending my time? This is a very, very difficult question to answer, honestly, because the realities of working in the online world, a lot of what I do is in person, but truthfully, I could do my entire job online. A lot of what I do could feel busy, could feel productive. But if I'm real with myself, if I set a timer for every task I do, there's a lot of wasted space. And sometimes wasted space is a great indicator of burnout or overwhelm. I know that I'm in a season of hustle right now, and there's moments where I am just aimlessly scrolling Instagram. Is that my best? Yes. Probably not. Is it fun watching? My current thing that I'm watching, this is embarrassing to admit, but here we are. This like animal chiropractor, I'm like fascinated with the process of adjusting horses. Like I think it's crazy. So every night I pick one of those videos and that's like the last thing I watch before I go to bed. All that to say, I'm in a situation where I should audit how my time is spent, and how I spend my time will help me make decisions. Because the reality is, if I am working with a client and it's beyond my normal scope, one of my clients, this is a great example. This person's also in the service industry, and she kept struggling to get things done to work on her business, to make her business better. So I had her audit. What does a normal week look like? Her schedule was beautiful. It was very detailed, very accurate. Then the follow-up question, walk me through minute by minute how that actual day went down. So this person was great about blocking off the appropriate time, but what would happen is this meeting creep. They would meet with a client, and then all of a sudden what should have been a half hour turned into an hour, and then the activity that needed to happen after, now it's moved to a different section of the calendar on a different day. This creep was happening over and over and over again, to the point where we are now adjusting her pricing model to compensate her for that creep time. We're also setting better expectations from the get-go, so that way we can enforce better boundaries along the way. But this is why that time question is so key. Really being aware of where your time is spent allows you to make better decisions. For this person, it was not an issue of having a game plan. This person was planning constantly. The issue is the execution of that plan. And there's some solutions that we needed to explore. And it was a hybrid of things. It was laying clear expectations from the get-go, sticking to those boundaries, and then compensation to match how this person works best. So it was a hybrid of all of those solutions. And when we think about time, if you're constantly getting distracted, how can you trick yourself into hyper productivity? So today's a Wednesday. Today, I actually posted my stories. It's the first Wednesday, and I don't even know how long, where all I had to do today was focus on this podcast. I was a guest on someone else's podcast. I just interviewed a guest for the other podcast I host for my university. Today was truly a podcast day, which is how I built my schedule to be, a year ago plus, but it hasn't been executed that way in a while, and that's on me. I have no one to blame for that but me. But it feels so good knowing all I have to do is exactly what we're doing right now. Hang out with you, hopefully give you some tips and tricks to think about improving your business. And that's the one hat I get to wear today. And I'm a lot more efficient and effective when I can just flow and speak and be in this mode. I already prepped my notes for this episode. I already prepped my notes for the entire month. But today I just got to show up and serve. And I've set myself up to do that. So when we're thinking about where time is best spent, I hear a lot. I'll do that when I have time. I don't have time for a podcast. I don't have time to write a blog. The argument I'm going to give to that person is you're not making the time. And I do think the why matters. I think there's certain seasons where maybe it doesn't make sense to have a podcast. Maybe that doesn't make sense in your business and where you're headed. That's fine. I prefer that answer than that I don't have time. Because all of us have time. We just choose to spend it in different places. And if we keep getting sucked into these time sucks, whether that's scrolling social media or watching Netflix or playing video games, whatever that is for you, if you're happy doing it, do it. This is not to say to not do it. But if you want different, if you want to include something new into your process or flow, you got to be realistic about that sacrifice that it may take to implement the new thing. And it starts with auditing your time. Where is it best spent? That will help you make really great decisions for your business. And then point number 5 is this. It's not exactly a number or data point that helps make decisions, but I think it's worth consideration. You need to be aware of your capacity. And this is a love letter to Kelsey 2 months ago. I'm always a work in progress. One of my core values is authenticity. And sometimes I share real life stuff with you that's a reminder to me. So just because I have some things figured out doesn't mean I have everything figured out. And this is important for me to hear. If I have a full life right now, like life stuff going on, good or bad, but it's just full of life, maybe I need to be realistic about that, acknowledge it, and allow my business to just be. On the flip side of that, if my business, and this is where I'm at currently today, my business is exploding, growing, scaling, there's a lot going on, a lot of moving parts. If that's the reality of where my business is at today, it might come at the expense of a couple life things that I have to be choosy about. And then just having ownership of that choice and being at peace with that choice. And if people in your world don't respect that choice, then that's a them problem. But I think the capacity question is so important because, like I mentioned earlier, ideas come and go. They get more enticing the bigger that you grow. And I am living, breathing example of that. I'm a living, breathing example of how enticing, how juicy that next shiny object is the further you grow and scale. That capacity question will tell you a lot, because if you're able to answer it honestly with yourself, you'll know what you realistically have time, space, mental capacity for and not. And if you're looking for a short-term solution, be honest. Is this providing that? Is this just giving me a sense of peace for right now? Or is this something that I truly want that aligns with my long-term goals and where I want to head? So to wrap today's episode up, I want to equip you with the ability to make smart decisions. And I think in order to do that as a business owner, you have to have some facts that help back it up, because you can't just make all of your decisions out of a place of emotion. So here's the 5 I listed previously. I'll just quickly recap all of them. Number 1, are your needs met? Because if they are currently met, that's going to be a different decision-making process versus if you're in a situation where, real talk, you're not quite meeting your needs. By the way, just because you can survive off top ramen doesn't mean you should be building your business and making choices off of that budget. So be real with what your needs are, okay? Number 2, auditing where your best people come from, using that to help you make decisions, especially when it comes to marketing. And if you're in a situation where you're needing more sales, reminding yourself what has worked previously and not needing to invent the wheel. Number 3, counting other things besides money, besides the dashboard that Instagram gives you. Things like discovery calls if you're in an industry that sells that way. How many calls do you have and how many do you close? Because if you're not getting enough calls booked, that's a different solution versus if you are getting calls booked but you're not closing them, that's a different solution to seek out. Number 4, how are you spending your time and being honest about that, auditing that, being aware of it, being realistic with that too. And then number 5, what's your capacity? I've talked about this many times before, but when I was in wedding planning mode, which by the way, wedding happened, we moved, business was growing, but a lot was happening in life at the same time. I definitely pumped the brakes on growing, scaling, changing my business. It was like steady Eddie. I just wanted same but better. Now it's flip-flopped where life stuff has slowed down and I am hyper focused on my business. How do I make it more efficient? How do I make it better? How do I find more of the same? And that's the season I am currently in. Serving you people, that's a huge part of my focus and energy right now. And then I encourage you, as you're thinking through these 5 different filters and you're about to make decisions, do it from a place of peace. Odds are there's a decision that you need to make. If you're listening to this, it somehow found you for a reason. There's probably some decisions you need to make. Do it from a place of peace. Take the night to sleep on it. Maybe you take a weekend solo trip and you just be by yourself with your thoughts and you think through these 5 questions before you make the decision. Because the truth is, no one can tell you what to do. You have to tell you what to do. You have to decide. Even if I'm your coach, if you're listening to this, I'm your business coach. So often I have my clients pitch to me what their decision is and why. And there's times I disagree. There's times if I were in their shoes, I would do something different. But that's not business. They're the boss. I'm just a guide. I'm just a support system. I'm just another perspective. And as long as they feel confident and aligned in their decisions and they're doing it from a place of data, like I mentioned, versus just raw emotion, then I can get behind that. So that's all I have for you today. And this is kind of a weird ask, but I'm going to shoot my shot here. I spoke at this big event a couple months ago in person. It was a women's business conference, and I absolutely loved helping people in that way. So if you're listening to this and you know of anyone looking for a guest speaker, if you're looking for a podcast guest, if you're looking for someone to come speak at your event, if you have some kind of community and you're looking for someone to lead a workshop, I love teaching and I would love to support you in that way. So if that is you at all, I'm old school. Just send me an email at info@kelseymarieknudsen.com and I'd love to see if that's a fit for us. But that's what I have for you today. Go out and make those hard decisions. Please know you're not alone in this and that the data can help support you and give you more tools, equip you with more resources to make confident decisions in your business. Because as we know, taking decisive action is the secret sauce. That's what it takes to get to where you want to go. That's what it takes. And today we really tackled that decision side. I hope it helped you out and I hope to catch you at the next episode.